Hey Wargamers, today we're working in Battlescribe to look at another Tau army list. This time it is a dual Vior'la Bork'an Sept army list. It is the third of three of my Patreon army list that I'm going through and reviewing. If you're not familiar with this format, basically, for my patrons over on Patreon, I take their army list that they send to me, comment on them, kind of go through them, talk about their strengths, weaknesses, and then revise it and shoot out a new army list at the end. Of course, the original and the revised lists are both going to be available on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page, so you can check out the list there if you want. This case, it is a 2,000 point army list, again, all comers, and let's start with the Vior'la component. I love the Vior'la Sept. I think it works out really nicely with Bork'an. You kind of have this more aggressive mobile force with a little bit more of a gunliney component depending on what you bring, and they work out really nicely together. Here we have a Vanguard detachment. For HQ we have a Cold Star with 4 Fusion Blasters. That's a great loadout. Again, commanders are going to give you that mobility and reliable firepower that you need, especially with a Vior'la Sept Cold Star. You are super mobile. You can move 40 inches in your turn and lay down some firepower. Again, the important part here is just giving him the support he needs early on to stay active. So first turn you're going to probably want to hold him back, or at least kind of have him skirt around the edges and stay by some of your other units. Maybe that's Stealth Suits, maybe that's a Ghostkeel, maybe it's a Riptide. I don't know. Any of those things will work out just fine, so long as he is not your closest target, or the closest target to your enemy. He will be safe. And so that's kind of the trick with using a Cold Star now. But for the most part, they are pretty awesome. So 4 Fusion Blasters on a Cold Star is nothing to sneeze at. Then for our elites, we have 2 units of Stealth Suits and a Ghostkeel. One of the Stealth Suit units is 3-man. They all have burst cannons. The other is 3-man with burst cannons and also a homing beacon. So that should kind of give you a hint of what might be around the corner. The homing beacon is a great way to introduce a deep striking unit into an enemy gun line or enemy blob closer than 9 inches away. The big challenge with homing beacons now, though, is that they are deployed at the beginning of the movement phase. You no longer can just drop them whenever, so you have to drop it and then move your Stealth Suits. You can't move your Stealth Suits and then drop the homing beacon like you used to be able to before the Codex dropped. So this is a big challenge because it means that if you are looking to get a deep strike into a critical area, you have to set up for that the turn beforehand. One nice thing about the FAQ preventing first turn deep strikes is that your Stealth Suits are going to kind of be hanging out in the wind a little bit at the end of turn 1, and that's not intrinsically a good thing. That's potentially a really bad thing. But if the enemy is advancing towards you, not afraid of deep strikers on turn 1, they're going to be in almost a better position now to lay down that homing beacon and have that exploited by your deep strikers than they would have been before the FAQ. So having that homing beacon on there is still very useful if you are bringing the correct units. The other elite unit here is a Ghostkeel, Fusion Collider, Flamer, Stealth Drones, Advanced Targeting System, Target Lock. I think a Ghostkeel with a Target Lock is necessary. Advanced Targeting System is awesome. I think the Advanced Targeting System is much better used, though, on the Cyclic Ion Raker than the Fusion Collider. The Fusion Collider, you already are at -4. Bumping it up to -5 doesn't really get you that much traction in most cases. You have to be firing at a really resistant target for that Advanced Targeting System to kick in. And so if you're bringing the Advanced Targeting System, I would prefer to see a Cyclic Ion Raker and also burst cannons instead of flamers. Flamers are awesome, but they are short range, and so you're primarily using them as a defensive option here, which I get, but I think burst cannons are probably the more useful tool more often. And so I might switch this up to not be a fusion suit. We have to kind of work our way through the rest of the list here. But the nice thing here is that it allows you to use Wall of Mirrors to kind of move these stealth suits around because they're all the same set. You're going to be able to move stealth suits around, slingshot them if you need to using Wall of Mirrors to better deploy that homing beacon and just avoid kind of some of the issues associated with putting them upfield that might expose them to assaults or other things. So Wall of Mirrors has some really nice synergy here and opens up some nice tactical options. The second detachment is a Bork'an detachment, it's Bork'an Battalion. Let's start with heavy support. Let's start with Desert, I guess. Heavy support, we have 2 broadsides. They're in 1 unit, which in this particular instance, there's not a huge benefit for them both being in 1 unit. I would prefer to see them separated so that you don't have spillover of wounds between the 2. They are both equipped with heavy rail rifles and smart missile systems. Based on the rest of this list, I think heavy rail rifles are a fine way to go. A lot of the times the high yield missile pods really just don't pull their weight, and that can also be the case with heavy rail rifles, but at least you have a little bit more specialization there. Advanced targeting system can be good if they are being protected, but these guys, they're tough, but they're not invincible. They don't have the same type of durability that like a Riptide might have. And so you might want to consider going with the shield generator instead if you were to maintain the broadsides. Finally, we have sniper drones, 6 sniper drones. Basically, sniper drones are cool. I don't think I actually mentioned this. This is NoExcusesPanda's list. And when he emailed me, he said, I love the sniper drones. They've been working so well for me. I want to keep them in the list. Don't touch the sniper drones. Well, I guess he didn't say that last part, but he said he liked the sniper drones. So we're going to keep those in there and kind of emphasize them a little bit. But sniper drones are good for Bork'an because it gives them just that much more range, and that means you have that much more opportunity to get your 2 shots out of your rapid fire. So instead of being 48-inch range rapid fire 1, they are now 54-inch rapid fire. So they're going to be hitting on at 27 inches, they are going to be hitting 2 shots, which is quite a bit of the board, right? So having that works out very nicely. Fast attack, we have a Vior'la with ATS and target lock. So his flamer and ionic discharge cannon are both improved by 1 AP, and he can move and shoot without penalty. These are essential for a Vior'la. This is basically the gold standard for the loadout of a Vior'la right now. And then he has a Pathfinder team with 5 Pathfinders, including a Shazwi, and then a Pulse Accelerator drone to help some Fire Warriors. Elites, we have a unit of Crisis Bodyguards. This is where that homing beacon is going to be used. 3 Crisis Bodyguards, each with a Fusion Blaster and 2 Plasma Rifles. This is a loadout that I was a huge proponent of right when the index dropped. And if you go back and watch my index review of Crisis Suits, I point out lots of reasons why I think this is a really good build. Now with the Codex, I think the Cyclic Ion Blaster is the more efficient way to go. Having a standardized amount of damage output or number of shots really helps the Cyclic Ion Blaster. Basically improves their point efficiency by 50%, which is a lot. And they can do a lot of the things that Plasma and Fusion can do in a more versatile way. So it's kind of, in between a Plasma and a Fusion Blaster in a lot of ways, but you get more shots and you're getting them at a pretty good range. Now, because this is a Bork'an detachment, Plasma Rifles are a lot better than they would be otherwise. So instead of having a 24-inch range, they have a 30-inch range, meaning that they're going to be double tapping at 15 instead of 12. That makes a big difference, but still, not necessarily going to pull their weight as much as you would like them to. The other issue here is that they don't have any drones. So they're going to be deep striking in. Yeah, you will have probably a unit of of 3 stealth suits nearby. Hopefully you'll have that Cold Star commander hanging out with you as well. That's why they're bodyguards, is that they can take shots for that Cold Star, but nonetheless, they are not long for this world without drones. And so this unit needs some sort of support other than what we've been talking about, if it's going to remain. Overall, though, you're still spending 264 points on Crisis Bodyguards to give you 6 plasma rifles and 3 fusion blasters. And the value you get out of that, I think, is lacking. So in the revision, we will address this crisis unit. The next elite choice is a Firesight Marksman, which if you're bringing sniper drones, yeah, you need a marksman. I guess you don't need it, but you'll want it. He has a Pure-Tried Engram Neurochip because he's a character. He can take a signature system. And yeah, that works out fine. It's kind of a sneaky way to do it. I think having it on the marksman is fine, especially because he's going to be probably a lower priority than something like a Fireblade. So and he's going to be out of the way. So he's going to be harder to kill probably than a Fireblade will be. And so putting your Engram Neurochip on him is not a bad idea. He also has the Through Unity Devastation Warlord trait. And that is fine too, but it kind of goes against what I was just talking about as far as him being separated from the majority of the units. If this is the case, if he's going to have this Warlord trait, you're going to want him in and amongst the people. He's going to be amongst the people, and that leaves him open to charges and stuff like that, which are dangerous. So, yeah, which is true of a Fireblade too. But I think that there's some deployment stuff that you can do with the marksman that you can't do with the Fireblade that I would like to see, and so maybe not have him be your warlord is really what I'm getting at there, I guess. For troops, we have 3 units of Fire Warriors, 10-man units, all with pulse rifles. This is great. This is going to work with the Pulse Accelerator drone. It's going to work with the Fireblade. And they're Bork'an, so they are going to be putting out a lot of shots at a long distance. So I like that. For HQ, we have 2 Fireblades. Again, they're going to do their work. So overall, I think that this list has a lot going for it. Areas of concern are largely related to taking out kind of heavy infantry and also really resistant things like Primarchs or Titan or Knights and stuff like that. So there's some stuff in here that addresses that, like the Fusion Collider and the Fusion Blasters on the Crisis suits and having the heavy rail rifles. But all of these are fairly unreliable sources of damage. Right? We only have 3 Fusion Blasters in the Crisis squad. We have basically a couple Fusion Blaster shots from the Fusion Collider, and then the 2 heavy rail rifles. So I would tend to want to get something a little bit more consistent in here to deal with that, but I really like the rest of the list. It's a pretty well-rounded list that's going to have a lot of tactical options, especially when we're looking at early game board control, thanks to infiltrators and things like the Cold Star. Okay, so let's look at the revision. All right, so here's my revision. Again, both army lists are up on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page in the description below. So here is our Bork'an Battalion again. I've kept both the Bork'an and Vior'la elements the same here, again at 2,000 points. And we are looking at how things have changed. So Bork'an, 2 Fireblades, yep. You'll notice that I switched the Warlord to be one of these 2 Fireblades and maintained the Through Unity Devastation Warlord trait. The Pure-Tried Engram Neurochip I brought along with it, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. For troops, we have basically the same loadout. We have a unit of 9 Fire Warriors and then 2 units of 10 Fire Warriors here. For elites, and that's just because of points, I need to shave one off. We have the Firesight Marksman. Again, he could keep the Riptide Engram Neurochip and that kind of keep it safe if he's hiding out in the corner. And then a Riptide is what we have replaced that unit of Crisis Suits with. So keep in mind, right, the Crisis Suit unit had 6 plasma rifles and 3 fusion blasters. So at a maximum, that's 15 shots. And let's see, 3 fusion blasters are going to, if they hit and wound, they're going to give you an average of 10 damage, and then you have the damage from 12 plasma rifle shots. So, you're not looking at that much damage. On average, you're going to be looking at, something like 10 damage, depending on what you're shooting at for that whole unit. You're not doing a ton of damage. Whereas the Riptide the Riptide here, we have advanced targeting, target lock, and then heavy burst cannon and a smart missile system. You're getting a lot more bang for your buck here. And it's more durable. It has an invulnerable save. It's more maneuverable. There's a lot of things going on for it. It benefits from things like stimulant injector and automated repair systems. So yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why the Riptide is probably the better choice here. It's not as fun. It's not as flavorful. I think the Riptide still has a sour taste for a lot of people, both people playing against Tau and people playing as Tau. They don't want to be cliche. They don't want to be spammy or redundant, but it's hard to argue with the numbers on how effective Riptides are. So we brought one in here. We've also maintained that Ghostkeel, but have switched into a cyclic ion ranker, given him a target lock and 2 burst cannons in addition to the advanced targeting system. That's because the advanced targeting system is going to benefit both of those systems better, and it's going to be a more versatile option. He's also in the Bork'an Sept detachment and not in the Vior'la Sept detachment. And the reason for that is because he's going to benefit a lot more from the Bork'an Sept trait than the Vior'la one, having a heavy weapon. That extra 6 inches is going to help keep him out of combat, keep him where he's going to be able to, do board control and still benefit from his stealth drones and everything like that. So he's going to be more durable by being further away from the enemy, and having him in Bork'an allows him to do that. It does mean that we can't use the Wall of Mirrors stratagem, but again, in order to use Wall of Mirrors, you have to be close up. We're not deep striking anything anymore, so the homing beacon isn't really an issue. And the Ghostkeel would need to be close up and potentially get drawn into combat too. We don't want that to happen. So this, yes, reduces our ability to do things like Wall of Mirrors, but I think it makes the Ghostkeel itself more effective overall. Moving on to fast attack, we have the Vior'la. Again, advanced targeting system, target lock. That's a way to run it, and he's in Bork'an, so he is going to have a nice extra 6 inches on that flamer, and that's going to make a world of difference for him. He's going to do a lot of lifting for you. As promised, we've kept the sniper drones. We've bumped it up to 10 sniper drones, though, because a single unit of sniper drones just doesn't have the momentum behind it. It doesn't have the volume of fire to really make a difference in the majority of situations. Yes, with a few sniper drones, you might be able to pick off like some Eldar characters or guard characters, but really what we're looking for here is, a fair number of shots that are just the strength 5 shots, but really we're trying to play the numbers here and get those mortal wounds generated. So 10 sniper drones is certainly going to give you a better chance of doing that than a smaller number. Plus, in a pinch, you can use sniper drones to take wounds using saver protocols, because they do have saver protocols. So you can support your Ghostkeel, you can support your Riptide, you can support your stealth suits with sniper drones if you need to. Probably wouldn't sacrifice a sniper drone for a stealth suit, but it's situational. Maybe there is a situation where that's a really good choice. All right, I've brought in another detachment here, just a little bit more CP. This is another Bork'an detachment, but this time it's an Outrider detachment. It has another Cadre Fireblade, and then 3 units of shield drones. Again, I think 3 units of 4 shield drones is kind of the standard that we want to see in Tau lists right now, and this is a way to do it and still gain some extra CP by doing so. So that's what we've done here. Now moving on to the Vior'la detachment. It's a Vanguard detachment again. We have a commander in Cold Star with 4 fusion blasters, as always, a great choice. And then instead of having a Ghostkeel here, we just have another unit of stealth suits. So 3 units of 3 stealth suits, 2 units of 3 stealth suits, and then 1 unit of 4 stealth suits, all with burst cannons, are going to give you great board control turn 1. These guys are going to do a lot of work for you. They're going to be able to advance and fire their weapons without penalty because they are assault, and they're going to capture objectives, have board control for you right at the beginning of the game. Plus, they're hard to hit. So I like stealth suits in this edition. I think they're going to play really well, and they're going to give you a lot of tactical options while keeping the enemy away from your more sensitive units like your fire warriors. So yeah, it's a little bit more of a fast-paced detachment, particularly with the Cold Star and the stealth suits. They're going to be running all over the place and taking care of stuff for you. All right, that's it. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming uploads. And if you want your army list reviewed, go ahead and head on over to Patreon, join our community there. As always, thanks for watching, and of course, happy wargaming.
Hey everyone, this video was made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. If you like this video, consider heading on over to Patreon and joining our community there. Special thanks to NoExcusesPanda, Jordan, Paul Leuders, Giovanni DiMaggio, TauOswell, Deverson, Jared Egeler, Nick Steele, Max Harrison, and Youhei Penguin.